live from New York. It's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this, well, it's the first of the daylight savings time, so hopefully you're here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'm Lady Ada, with me is Mr. Lady Ada, broadcasting live here from the Adafruit factory behind us. You can even hear the compressors going off. It's where we do all the design, test, manufacturing, shipping, coding, supporting of the electronics that you know and love. We've got an exciting show for you tonight, all jam-packed with goodies and discount codes and giveaways, and it's not out yet. So we're going to jump right into it. Why don't you tell them what's on tonight's show, Mr. Lady Ada?
That's right. On tonight's show, the code is Top Hat.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll give you some clues later, but that's the code, Top Hat, tonight. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going? Code Top Hat, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Everything except for AdaBox and gift certificates. It supports us, an open source hardware company here in New York City, where we do all sorts of things like ship electronics and have 401k for the employees and healthcare and all the good stuff that we like to do for everybody. And we don't have loans or venture capital, so when you purchase something and use that code, save a little bit of money, it supports all these fine folks here and beyond. Show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady Ada will talk about that and more. CircuitPython, we have Python on hardware news, a lot of news again this week. It is a good time to be doing electronics and learning Python, or if you know Python, good timing you. Pack the Mailbag will stop by, we'll read your emails and letters to us. Time travel, look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers. A little bit of reminder about our jobs board and some skills that people have that they posted, and some companies that want to find some cool makers to join their organization. 3D printing, play a couple videos. We got some factory footage made in New York City. We got new products. We'll answer your questions, and we do that on Discord. So if you haven't already, adafruit.it/Discord.
Sign up. It's free.
Yep, we'll get you there, and you can join around 11,000 other makers 24/7, showing and sharing their projects. We have some top secret. We have a trivia question, where we give away something at the end. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Yay.
Okay, well, let's do a couple bill paying things. Don't forget, code Top Hat. Lady Ada, if people add stuff to their cart and they're about to check out, it looks like they get free stuff.
They do. The free stuff is changing all the time. I think we actually ran out of the Boomy pins earlier today, so that's one thing that you can't get. But you can get all the other stuff. $99 or more, you get a free Perma-Proto half-size breadboard, just like the shape of a solderless breadboard, so you can take your project, solder it to the Perma-Proto, and make it permanent prototype. $149 or more, you get a free enamel pin. We have only, I think, the Sparky and Blinka pins left over. If you make an account, you won't get the same pin twice. You should make an account, because then we can keep track of which pins you've already gotten. $199 or more, you'll get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. That's high quality trackable shipping with insurance, and it'll show up when it says it's going to show up. It doesn't like disappear for 2 weeks. You will get it. That's only in the lower 48. And $299 or more, you'll get a free Circuit Playground Express, our premier all-in-one learn to code and build an electronics board. You can use it with Arduino, CircuitPython, Code.org Discoveries, MakeBlock, Code.org CS Discoveries, MakeBlock, which is different than MakerBlock or BlockMaker, and a couple other languages that I'm probably forgetting. So check that out. It comes with all the LEDs and sensors you need to get started. We have like 100 different guides on the learning system. So you get that free if you order enough stuff. So it's a good excuse to order a bunch of stuff. Okay.
For shipping, we have UPS ground. Lady didn't mention which ones that you may want to consider. That's the best one for US, and we'll get there with trackable shipping. Postal sometimes disappears a little bit. That's just how it goes with Postal Service. And DHL, that's the best one for international. It sails right through. It gets it there almost instantly. If you're in New York City, we have same-day delivery. If you check out and your zip code is one of the ones in Manhattan, you get it before 11 a.m. You have to get in before 11 a.m. if you want to have it ordered, delivered same day. Okay, show and tell. People around the world, they show their stuff online.
Yeah.
And we say, yay.
Yay, and then we write it down so we can talk about it later.
It's here.
All right, so we had a bunch of people. I'll tell you all about them. We had like 10 people show up. Colin sometimes forgets if he fed his cat that day, because he feeds the cat first thing in the morning when he's not fully booted up yet. So Colin made an e-ink cat fed reminder. All it does when you push the button, it records when you fed the cat, so that later on in the day, if he's like, did I feed the cat this morning? Because the cat seems like it's starving to death, and I don't know if it's ever eaten ever. He can look and be like, wait a minute, the e-ink display says I fed you this morning. Cat's lying to me, trying to get some food. So hopefully he'll write that up, because I think that'd be very handy for anybody with cats. JP is going to be showing off tomorrow a YouTube PyPortal display. So it's a PyPortal set up with YouTube and Google API keys. So you can display the number of views and subscribers you have on your YouTube channel. If you have one, almost everyone has one these days. Non Pedro showed off this week's 3D Hangouts project, which we'll also be showing the video for. It's a ViewMaster built around the PyPortal. When you pull the little lever, it springs down and back up, and it changes the different image from the disk, the SD card, or the built-in disk drive. Scott had a Yamaha keyboard that he got working, and he's been hacking on it, and it sounds great. He also wanted to promote people going to PyCon. We are doing mentored sprints. So sign up, and you can be part of the CircuitPython sprints. It's always fun. It's a good party of 20 people. They're having a good time. There might be some free hardware.
We'll have some information about that soon, too.
Yeah, so you should sign up. Mike showed off a compact flash disk add-on for old IBM PCs. If you have only an ISA card, you can use this little adapter to plug in a compact flash drive, which you can still get, because there's enough old cameras that use compact flash. And that way you use it as a disk drive, because it's hard to get old ISA disk storage, I guess. Chris Young showed off his new remote control, his universal remote control. He uses feather wings and displays and Bluetooth and power boost. It's quite a big project, so check it out. On the AT Makers YouTube channel, there's a video tour of his work/makerspace and all the assistive tech devices, thanks to Bill, who I guess visited and took that video and edited it and put it on the AT Makers YouTube site. It's like 20 minutes long, so it'll be fun. You can see, what kind of assistive tech do people use, and how do they use it. Greg Mighty has a YouTube channel. He's live streaming. Maybe he could use his YouTube PyPortal. But he doesn't want to actually appear on the YouTube stream because, I don't know, he doesn't want to. He thinks he wants to be an animated character, but he doesn't want to have to animate a character. So instead, he made a mechatronic floating brain that uses our servo driver, and it uses audio FFT, analysis to know, it only moves the brain around in the jar when he speaks. So it looks like the brain's kind of like talking, and then it like flashes lights also to match the speech.
Yeah.
So it's just really adorable brain, and he has it on a green screen, and he has it over. So if he's talking about projects or ham radio or whatever, the brain is speaking instead of his head, which is actually kind of nice because it doesn't mean you don't have to worry about like, oh, is my hair combed or am I looking in the right place or whatnot. Get this floating brain so that he can maybe focus on what he's doing and not have to worry about emoting. JMK showed off a preview of JMK OS 2.0 using you can run online on RepelRun, which I guess is an online Python hosting service, which is pretty cool. And also he added a file cleanup capability to JMK OS, so if you have empty files, they'll be cleaned up for you when you log in. And the login has a very kind of classic DOS, pre-Windows 3.1, like that kind of blue and white curses like screen. Like, what was that, Word Edit? What was the name of that editor? Some famous Microsoft editor that people used. Maybe it was like edit.bat or something. So it looks like batch files, but it's all in Python. JMKOS 2.0 dropping soon, so get your computers ready for JMKOS. And then finally we had Daniel, who's a teacher who teaches with Circuit Playground Expresses and CircuitPython. Super fun to learn programming with hardware. And instead of just doing boring computer science, they're making escape room props. So learning how to program by making puzzles and games, which is, I think, a really great way to explore like user interface and programming projects, but in context, right? So they made a Simon-like game that when you press the 3 buttons along with the pattern, it'll eventually flash out a code that you use on a combo lock to open it up and get the prize or the clue to the next puzzle, I guess. And he showed us these cool lug nuts that he uses to attach a Circuit Playground Express with screws, so you don't have to solder, you don't have to wrap a wire. So good tips. And that was the show and tell.
Okay. All participants on the show and tell get, and as seen on the show and tell sticker, just email support@adafruit.com and we'll send you out one. Or if there's other cool stuff you've shown, or if you're interested in doing a guide for us, that's how we usually find folks. It is part of our Adafruit live series of shows. Tomorrow is JP's show. Next week, JP's off, but this week he is to check out our shows that we have on Wednesdays, which is 3D Hangouts and Show and Tell and Ask an Engineer. And tomorrow is JP's show. And he also has Makecode Minute. So,
of course.
We're going to show the highlight reel, which is Makecode Minute from JP's show.
Yes.
Take it away, JP.
All right, so on the Makecode arcade, I'd like to look at projectiles and a few things that happen when they collide with things. So you'll see in this example, I have on sprite of kind projectile overlaps with other sprite of kind enemy. What happens? I destroy the sprite, which is the projectile, and I destroy the other sprite, which is the enemy, and then I use the little hearts effect. Now, if we scan down in the code a little bit, we'll see what happens when the player overlaps an enemy. I'm going to shake the camera, which is a canned effect here, and I'm going to destroy that sprite, and I'm going to change the life value. So there's a certain number of lives in the game. I'm going to change that life value by -1. And here's the other happy side of it. When my player overlaps with a sprite of the kind food, I'm going to destroy that sprite, so get rid of it. But I'm also going to, well, I have changed life by 1 here. I'm actually going to change this to increase my score. So I'm going to go into info, change score by 1. So let's drop that in there. Okay, so now the game is going to reset. And you'll see when I hit one of these pieces of food, my score is going to go up on the right. When I shoot these ghosts, they're going to disappear, and you'll see we get that effect. And you'll also see there's some danger to shooting the food, so you have to have a bit of a light touch. So I want that pizza, but I don't want to get hit. Okay, and you'll see if I get hit, that heart counter on the left side of the screen is dropping, and eventually the game is over. And that, the other thing we'll have a look at is how are these particles flying into the scene. On game update, so there's a clock going on in the game. When the game updates, I'm having every 700 milliseconds, I'm creating this projectile of the type ghost, and I'm grabbing a random sprite, this collection. So I've got ghost sprites and I've also got food sprites. So I have these arrays, and I can grab any from those randomly and then drop them down onto the screen. They're moving downward. That's this positive vector on Y. And then I'm also setting the projectile type, in this case, to enemy, and I'm dropping them out of some random area at the top of the screen. And so that is how you can create enemy and power-up sprites as particles and deal with the collisions inside of Makecode Arcade.
All right. I also have some Makecode news I wanted to put in here. There's a new Makecode beta. I think it's 1.3, and it's one of a full rewrite, basically, of the underlying hardware layers. No longer using embed, now using our own Scott Shawcroft's SAMD peripherals, which means better support for SAMD 21 and SAMD 51 boards. So if you have a Makecode project that you've been using with the Circuit Playground Express, like the SAMD 21 or SAMD 51, check out /beta. Just put that in the URL to go to the beta site. Check that you're running 1.3 and try it out. See if you have any bugs or anything you've noticed. And in Discord or your Makecode channel, post your results, because we're trying to get feedback from people on this big rewrite. We think things are working better, but if something's not working, we want to know about it.
Okay.
Blinka, 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 blinka.
It is time for some Python on hardware. First up, so PyCon is coming up. It's May 1st to 9th. It's by the community, for the community. And if you're interested in either teaching or being mentored, there's a lot of different ways that you can help, and there's a lot of different ways to participate. So this would be on May 4th, 2019, just coming up, 2:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. There's still time. Today is the 13th. Tomorrow's the 14th. But if you want to be a participant, you can sign up. Put the links in the chat. It's also on the blog. And if you want to be a mentor and help, and the goal of this is to pair up experienced open source maintainers with a diverse group of new contributors. So if you ever wondered how you could possibly get people to contribute to open source, they're going to match up people who do the maintenance and run an open source project with people who haven't before. Scott will be doing one, and you could probably guess what he's going to be doing.
I wonder what it's going to be about.
Yep, it's going to be CircuitPython.
Oh, right.
Issue tracker, repo, contributing code, mentor Scott Shawcroft, project areas, education, tooling. So that'll be, that's one of the coolest things. But PyCon has a lot of stuff going on, but that's one of the coolest things. So mentored sprints. Also, that's a good idea for other conferences if you're interested, because the only way open source gets better is if we get more people doing it.
Another thing is that, if you really want to see a project that has a really strong base, like it isn't kind of haphazard. I mean, the CircuitPython repo is very well structured, and the issues are very well structured. So this is a good way to see, like, how does a project that have up to 20 or 30 contributors in a week, all hardware based, how do they do it?
So a lot of good success stories to be shared as well, and best practices. Okay, other things that's going on in PyCon. DigiKey and Adafruit are teaming up to do something really important, and this is kind of the biggest thing we've
never done before.
We've been able to do, and special thanks to DigiKey. Every single attendee, and this is like thousands of people, will get a special edition Adafruit Circuit Playground Express DigiKey PyCon edition. There will be workshops and more. Dan, Kattni, and Scott will be there. So that is PyCon. So if you're not sure if you're going to go, this is a good reason to go. And that's coming up in May.
Hard to argue.
All right. IoT Design Week is happening right now. And then on, it was, let's see, Tuesday, there was a special event. Bob Martin showed, and he's the Wizard of Make from Microchip, people formerly known as Atmel, showed a bunch of weather stations and gave away 5 PyPortals. Those are in the mail. We sent those out today. So if you want to check the replay, you can check our site. And you can also thank DigiKey and then also Microchip for both of those companies are part of it. So cool event, and it's good to see Microchip doing live streaming. So keep it up. Okay, next up, we have a new site, CircuitPython.org.
Dude, yeah. So like I got home on Friday night and Scott is just like, "Hey, I'm back, and let's do the site." And I'm like, "It's okay, fine." And so we set up the DNS, and he just went like all out and started structuring up the CircuitPython.org site. We've been working on it on and off, but just getting it all out there, and we've had everyone from the community contribute photos, descriptions, text links, and it came together real fast.
If you want to help out and you're just like, well, I don't really work on the core, or I don't know what things I want to do, you can help out with the website. There's plenty of things for all of us to do. Please go to CircuitPython.org, and then you can also check out our GitHub repo, do any pull requests. We're putting all the boards in there. If you want your board in there, you have to just make sure it's in the repo, and then it'll show up.
That's right. We are only doing, yes, if you have a board that it runs, it's SAMD21 or 51 or 5840, and you want us to do builds and have the downloads available, it has to be part of the repo. It can't. If it's in a fork, we're not going to be able to grab it because we auto-generate direct from the repository. So a really good excuse to get your stuff into mainline, CircuitPython.
Okay. I wanted to talk about a fun Code Plus community story. So I put this in the newsletter this week, but this was a neat story for lots of reasons. One, I like how GitHub is starting to do some things. So when you join GitHub, you can look to the side there. It has a little rocket that says join GitHub, and then when you do your first issue, it'll have a little satellite, and then you do your first full pull request as a little tugboat, and it tugs a little bit. Yeah, this is neat.
Well, I feel like they had a theme there, and then they kind of like...
No, this all works.
No, there's a rocket, and then you're in space, but then now you're in a ship?
Yeah, because you have to do a pull request.
But why don't just like a space?
Because I think in space, you don't really have to pull as much, but like in the water, it's a tugboat, like... whatever. Okay. I thought it was neat.
No, I think it's adorable. I'm just wondering the thematic thing here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So the cool thing about this is someone, his name is Corey, and said, "Hey, I've been coding since 1982, but I'm new to Python and GitHub. But there's this MIDI thing that I want to let you all know about." So Corey posted up, join GitHub, open up an issue, and the team has all these resources for doing issues and doing stuff with our CircuitPython repo. Yeah. And Corey was able to do that and did a pull request. It got merged in. And so for the folks out there that are doing open source, in addition to being like, oh, here's our open source repo, you have to have reasons for people to do things. And MIDI is one of them. That's a community of a lot of people who do music, and you have to give them ideas and things that would want them to jump into something like Python or CircuitPython or even GitHub. So I thought that was a neat story. So that's in a newsletter, and I think this is just like a mini case study of like if you're successful, you'll see more and more of this. Like, hey, like I used to code a lot, and now I want to do this, and I'm hoping, and I wish there was more metrics we could see. I'm guessing that there's more people that this might be their first time joining GitHub or opening up issues or pull requests. Even though CircuitPython is becoming large, we just have, I think we have the most beginners because it's made for beginners. So I think that would be a neat metric. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it. So I'm looking out for stories like this.
Yeah.
So anyways, I thought that was cool.
That was cool.
Okay. Next up, we are continuing to do PyPortal projects. And this is one that I made because I thought, well, if there's Mogwais, I want to prove that I'll be able to take care of them. So this is the screenshots from the Gremlins clock that I made. And the way it works is you need to know if feed them before midnight and then not feed them after midnight.
Chicken, in particular,
they eat chicken.
KFC.
Yeah, they eat chicken. And then don't get them wet in no bright light. So here's how the clock works. It also lets you know when it's okay to feed them again. So here's my clock. So we'll see how this works out, but just like Mr. Wing, or grandfather, would say, you do with Mogwai what your society has done with all of nature's gifts. You did not understand, you are not ready. So hopefully I've proven I'm ready for a pet Mogwai. Okay, next up. This is a cool 3D printed case. These are some community projects.
And this is for the PyPortal, and it's like, you know, we have this little button demo, so you have a wedge case that you can
that's from AT Makers. And then this is from Mystery Science Theater 3000. One of the robots is called Gypsy, and they're moving Gypsy to Cricket. They were using Arduino before that. This is Redbot. There's an entire video and story behind this. Nick posted up.
It's a T10.
It's a T10 robot using Circuit Playground Express and CircuitPython, and you can read the story about it. This is from a Learn Guide, and we'll have a little bit more about this later in the show, but this is a full demo system. That
it's everything for the robotics.
Yeah.
You want to show everything possible. This is your project in CircuitPython.
And this is how to use CircuitPython and some of our boards to have this Logitech. It's a Logitech Extreme 3D Pro USB joystick. And it takes input from the joystick, outputs JSON, and then uses a Trinket MZO UART transmit pin, and then it works. That's kind of cool. This is neat. This is one of those little minifig, mini-SAMs that runs CircuitPython, and this will help hack your computer. So it puts in all those keystrokes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I get a drizzle unicorn.
Yeah. Matt sent over some of the links and more from the Melbourne MicroPython meetup. One of the things, this is cool, it's a good video. This is Damien's native modules in MicroPython.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's like how to do high-speed code elements in MicroPython. So I'm interested in this.
Yeah. There's a PyBoard D series update. Should be shipping soon. This was in the MicroPython newsletter, and we also
It's
posted.
got these cute pluggy-in parts. Look at these cute connectors, like Hiroshi connectors.
Yeah, we posted about this, and we also put it in our newsletter. So this board will be out. We're looking forward to playing around with it.
I think it's an M7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this article is from Hackaday. This is just some fun stuff. You can make these types of XKCD charts with Python. So this tutorial shows you how. We also had these stats that we keep an eye on. So this was Stack Overflow, and I think they got a few other sources, but this is the Stack Overflow chart. Python overtakes JavaScript as the most questioned language. So in other words, people are using it quite a bit.
Yeah, they're learning where that they're taking it in school. You can see there was a peak and then actually dropped. These are either means that JavaScript has gotten easier for people, or fewer people are starting out with it.
Yeah, I think with machine learning and a lot of other things, like
Yeah.
TensorFlow, people are starting out with Python data visualization. We have a new language that we got to add to CircuitPython.
Pirate.
Yeah.
Pirate with a Y.
Yeah, and yeah. So if you want to help contribute regular human languages in addition to pirate languages, you could do that. And we have all this on awesome CircuitPython. This is from Adafruit Daily. You go there, adafruitdaily.com, sign up for Python on microcontrollers. It's in our weekly recap video.
Yeah.
All of this is in our podcast that we have. We have our weekly CircuitPython meeting on Discord. And then, of course, check out circuitpython.org. So lots of stuff in Python on hardware this week. It's...
Blinka, blinka, blinka. Should I have a Blinka song? Blinka, blinka,
We
blinka,
can come up
blinka.
with a Blinka song later.
Blinka, 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 blinka.
Except back in the mailbag. Okay, we read these letters to everyone at our weekly meeting called State of the Fruit with all the Adafruit team members, and we also read them here to you. So this week, this is from Chris. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for the outstanding customer service and overall business model. In the past, I've purchased my Raspberry Pi and BeagleBone through Amazon, but after experiencing your customer service as well as loving your products and your tutorials, education materials, I will now be ordering everything directly from Adafruit to include some feathered boards soon. Keep up the awesome work. It's great to see a legitimately good company doing good things, giving back, and taking care of their customers. Keep up the good work, Chris. Thanks, Chris. All right, time travel. Look back in the world of hackers, makers, artists, engineers, news, and more. This was cool.
Wow,
because
what's this?
This is cool because, you know, I assume that every day when I click on Google, like, next computers are going to come up. But it doesn't happen. But it did this week.
But today? Oh, good.
It did this week.
Yeah, what happened this week?
Well, this is the 30th anniversary of the web.
Ah,
you feel
sweet.
like, doesn't it feel like the web should be older than 30 years? But it's only 30 years old. That's kind of impressive.
That's not very old at all.
It's not very old at all.
Yeah.
So here's the first next.
But I mean, it wasn't really was it really 30?
Yeah, 30
Because
years.
I didn't really, people weren't really using it until I was at
30
least in
years.
high school.
Yeah,
So
but this is next, and this is
not
what,
that old.
Yeah,
20 years.
and this is one of the first browsers. So
Yeah.
the hypermedia browser. So that was this week, 30-year anniversary, and then this is kind of neat.
Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. How can it be? Is it 30 years? It was.
Yeah, 30.
It was 40 years. 40 years ago was 79 and
Yeah.
89.
Yeah.
89? Okay.
Yeah, 90 was when the
I didn't. Did Next come? Was Next around in 89?
yeah.
Okay. Wow. That
Well,
was.
he put in for he got approval in May of 1990 to buy the next station.
Okay. So
Yeah.
was it another year or two until
Yeah.
he actually? Okay. But he
right.
started the process.
Yeah, it's like I like that he put in for approval to buy a next computer.
Okay.
Like, you know, like it's cool.
They were pricey.
It's cool that Tim put in for that, but someone had to approve that.
I know.
So-
Why don't we ever credit that person? Middle manager.
Yeah. All right, and then this one I thought you could talk about a little bit. So this is the NSA hacking tool, and all the hardware people were really interested in.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'll tell you why it's interesting. So, decompiling is an interesting way to analyze, binaries or firmwares. They're doing it for secure. First off, I think the reason the NSA was using it is they'd find malware or Stuxnet, and they're like, well, what is it doing? So to analyze it, you would decompile it, and then you'd get it from, into assembly code, because you can always convert all code into assembly code, and then you try to, structure it in a way so you could see loops and stuff, and of course some code is tricky, and it tries to trick you. Which reminds me of, if you look at the 4 a.m. Write-ups on Apple II, that's the person's name, 4 a.m. They're just amazing, and they talk about how to trick disassemblers and decompilers. But normal decompilers and real good decompilers are quite expensive. I actually got a license for, I think, IDA Pro. It's great. I used it to decompile FreeTouch for the 7021, totally paid for itself. But it is outside the budget of most people. Like, I have a company, but a lot of people doing this kind of research and work. And there is a new trend in firmware. You can get firmware off device, but you want to decompile it, maybe see what it's doing or extract keys or code from it. Or you get some sensor libraries now are coming only as compiled ARM Cortex binaries, like .a's. They're linked. They're linkable libraries, and maybe you want to port that to some other thing, or maybe you're not using it on the same chipset. Maybe you want to use it on Tensilica and not an ARM Cortex. So if they don't provide you with that, you'll have to port it yourself, and that's where a decompiler comes in. So this is interesting because it's a free open source, good quality decompiler. There's a lot of ones that are tough to use, or basically you get to either have difficult to use, free, or incomplete, and you usually get to pick two. This one seems to have all three. It's free, it's open source, it's pretty good quality. The output that you get is very usable, and it has a lot of good tricks to it, and I think it's going to be improving as well. And for the other decompilers, nobody could contribute to them, so it was like every company that made a decompiler, you wouldn't be able to, nobody could pool together resources to improve it because it was closed source. Now there's actually one target that everyone can go to and say, okay, I want to add support for this new chipset. I can actually add it here and know that people can use it. It's not the only decompiler out there. Radari, I don't know how to say it, Radar is also another free one, but I tried to use it and I could not figure it out. This one looks a little bit more like IDA Pro. Okay. So I'm excited. I'm going to try using it maybe this weekend.
Maybe we'll try to do a Descalay data when we get to that. Okay, Maker update. We posted a new file, new video. Dawn did this.
Yes, monthly.
We do a monthly thing with Maker update now. People really like it, so check it out. We hit a big milestone on Discord. 11,000 of you. Thank you.
Thanks, 11,000 people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then a couple other things happened in the Maker world, and specifically for us. We hit 2 million orders.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
And they're like real orders, by the way. Like each one of those is an order.
Yeah.
Like there isn't like, oh, we skipped them, or like we whatever, or like each back order is whatever. No, this is each individual order from a person or a company. And that's not, of course, including all the orders from our distributors. So if you ordered from Pimeroni or Mauser or DigiKey or whoever is a distributor of ours, that doesn't count. So like there's even more customers, but this is how many orders we have.
We hit 2 million on March 8th, that was on Friday, and then we hit our 1 millionth order on January of 2016. 500,000th order was May 14th of 2014, and then we hit our 100,000th order in August of 2011. So we're accelerating pretty fast. The person who won, we let them know, and we said, hey, let's give you a free order and stuff. And the person's, their self-described name is Old Dude with a Mohawk.
That's what they called themselves.
And Old Dude with a Mohawk said, I love Adafruit, and pointed out to my daughters that I order cool stuff from Adafruit because it's a woman-owned business, and Lemoore shows that it's okay to be in tech, be yourself, and have cool hair, although I'm partial to Mohawks. You guys are freaking awesome. I purchased items for my tortoise tracker. He escaped when I was 3D printing, and the person purchased the LoRa and GPS stuff. So
to track the
lucky
tortoise.
2 millionth customer. Okay.
I mean, also, ideally they wouldn't be able to run too fast.
Yeah.
LoRa's a good choice, by the way.
And then congrats, Lady Ada. You just won an award. You were a honoree and emerging leader for the STEP Awards, and this is for manufacturing.
I like the Blinka colors.
That's right.
Good
we
Blinka.
Told them to put the colors Blinka style. No, it was already like that.
Yeah.
So it's April 11th. We're not going to be able to get to DC, but it's for manufacturing. Put that in our press section. Then, other Maker news. This Saturday
is
8 p.m.
What is it?
It's Arduino Day.
It's Arduino Day.
And so March 16th, we're going to do a little video thing. We're just going to show some Arduino stuff that we have going on. And then I did a blog post because one of the things that I wanted to do leading up to Arduino Day is figure out, okay, what libraries are out there, which ones are being used the most, which ones should we keep track of. And turns out we're the #1 producer of libraries. We sort of knew that, and then we did a little bit of work to figure out which other one. So we have a blog post on that, and that gets it from the JSON file that's in the library manager. We don't know the total number of downloads, but we do know the number of contributors. And since Arduino publishes at conferences how many downloads there are for other things, so we think they might be able to tell us. But anyways.
Well, we have an email out. We'll see.
Yeah.
We get a reply, we'll update.
Yeah. So that is going to be this Saturday at 8 p.m. We'll probably show some Arduino stuff. We have a whole box of stuff here. We might have a little history tour. Okay.
I'll show off my Arduino killer box, too.
Yeah. Okay.
Famous.
Help
All
funded. We got our jobs board, jobs.adafruit.com.
It's rocking.
Yeah. And then this week, the job is, speaking of Arduino, this person, David Lawrence Flynn, is looking for an Arduino programmer, must reside in Connecticut near New Haven, working on a light sculpture and interactive project. If you're in
Connecticut, you want to make some cool LED art,
yeah,
light art, contact this person. They're hiring.
You can go to jobs@adafruit.com, post your skills, or if you're a company, you can, of course, post that you're looking for a job.
Okay.
Or you're looking for a person to join your company. Okay, open source hardware.
We're an open source hardware company.
We are, but before I get to that,
okay,
I saw this quote. I put this in the newsletter because I think this is important. Open source software, and I'll say open source hardware, still requires the same strategic playbook as consumer tech to succeed. Branding, marketing, community, network effects, frictionless experience, all key to growth and long-term value. The reason I put this in here is because that's one of the things that I think people miss, you need to have a community. You need to have something like Blinka. You need to have a name for them to remember. You need to do all this stuff. Just because it's code, it's more than that. There's humans involved. And so I think when you look at successful open source projects, because there's some that come and go.
Yeah. Developers
will go to the next thing that's more interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And you have to celebrate the community. You have to have a place for them to go that's welcoming. And if you're for beginners, you have to have all the resources for them to learn all the things they want to learn for this new open source thing. And
yeah.
You want to feel like the more you put in, the more you get back. Not it's always like, oh, I put in stuff, but nothing ever happens.
It's really challenging because, you're dealing with expectations and people's desires, and people want to contribute. And how do they? And there's a lot of beginners, and some people need hand-holding and mentoring, and some people don't. And some people, one of the biggest challenges is there's people who are really skilled at open source software, open source hardware, but they don't work well as a team. So it's like, how do you get them to contribute in a positive way? And that's actually harder than how to get people who don't know how to code to contribute.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I won't name names or companies because that wouldn't be positive or beneficial. But we've been on the receiving end and hearing this, oh, we'll just make it open source and everyone will just do all the work. Like companies say that all the time. They're like, oh, we'll just put it in the community and they'll do all the work. It's like, that's not how it works. I
remember the first time we heard that from a company because they're like, oh, we're going to make this board, the community will do all the library work. And I was like, oh, you're like, like an Acme cartoon, a Looney Tunes, where the character runs off a cliff.
Yeah.
And you think you can just keep running, but you're just gonna fall.
And in fact, that company that said they were going to do that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of the things to think about. It's more than just putting code up on GitHub. So anyways,
it's like gardening.
Speaking of, we have 1,783 tutorials. We probably have that many libraries. What's on the big board this week?
All right, so we've got the PyPortal ViewMaster from Noah and Pedro will show the video for that. Super fun build. Phil, I don't know where you got this idea. I think you're digging through your box of Dune accessories and you're like, hey, let's make a ViewMaster with a PyPortal.
No, it was supposed to be, so the ViewMaster is a very old...
But you were looking at your Dune ViewMaster.
I probably, because I have a ViewMaster that's from Dune, which is like one of the worst things you could probably give a kid.
Terrible.
Like, here you go, look, sandworms. But I don't know if it was from that, but I always wanted to do an IoT ViewMaster. In fact, I think I started one 15 years ago or something, and just the technology wasn't ready yet. It wasn't like IoT in the same way. So this is that idea. Noah and Pedro were able to bring it to life.
Yes, they did an awesome job. I love there's a spring clip when you pull it down, it advances images, a little image viewer. So make your own CircuitPython driven ViewMaster. We also have, I'm going to jump around, we have from Carter, Raspberry Pi care and troubleshooting guides. So this is kind of common. People get Raspberry Pis. They're like, well, how do I make this last a long time, and how do I avoid problems, and how do I debug it? Carter does a lot of support in the forums, and so he knows how to debug and how to fix a lot of Raspberry Pi computers, some of the most common issues. and of course how to avoid getting into some bad situations. So check out that guide if this is your first Raspberry Pi. Definitely read through it because it will tell you all sorts of things to do and not to do. We also have a Charlie bonnet guide, thanks to Kattni, who wrote that up and put in all the code and diagrams for that. So if you have one of the Charlie plexes that we put in the store 2 weeks ago, or we have some this week as well, you can follow that guide and you can use it with the Raspberry Pi. We've also got a 5-up JP guide. He actually wrote these and then I kind of didn't get to putting them live until today. But we also made some updates to Display IO, so we kind of wanted to make sure they're all cleaned up before publishing. We have a bunch of guides. Okay, let's start with the top left. We've got the weekly countdown clock. So this, you put in a time and date for an event, and what it will do is it'll go online on the Wi-Fi that is built into the Pi portal and get the current time. And it's nice is it's daylight savings. So it's like, oh, how do I set the time zone and daylight savings? That's all done automatically for you. In fact, by the IP address, it can detect what your local time is using a GeoIP map, which is super cool. And then it'll automatically display how long it is until this weekly event. So it's really good if you're like, when's the next TV show that I like to watch, or if it's an event meetup, or like maybe a weekly dinner that you do. This weekly countdown clock is going to be really handy. We have a different version that's an event count up clock. So this tells you how long it's been since an event that happened once in the past. So for example, here we're showing an example, when was it we were last on the moon? And we show how many years, months, days, and hours and minutes since we were last on the moon. Similar, it goes online, gets the correct current time, and then calculates and displays for you. So that's kind of useful for if there's something you want to commemorate, something that occurred, like a birth or a wedding, or some launch of a company or something. Like how long has this company been open? You would use this event count up. Then we have the event countdown clock, kind of a mix between the two. This is for a one-time event. How long is it until this event? We've got, for example, PyCon coming up in a couple days. So we have, you have the image, and then same thing gets the time, and then we'll update based on how long it is until that event occurs. So you can get excited for that event, and then when the event occurs, it changes the image, so you can celebrate. Oh, and the weekly countdown clock does the same thing. When it's the event time, during the event, it will change the image, so you can have an image tell you, hey, this thing is happening now. And then we've got 2 weather-like projects. We've got an air quality display. This uses airnow.gov, which is a U.S. government air quality website. You can probably adapt it for other countries. It's just the only one that I really had access to. Using an API key, you can display a large text number telling you the air quality index value, which is in this case 33, and then change the background color to give you more information. So blue, good air, maybe yellow, red, black for increasing bad air quality. And at the bottom, it can also display some info about what it is. And of course, you can update this and add the time if you want, or air quality for tomorrow or something. So. If you're somebody who has, air quality affects your quality of life, and you want to know, should I exercise outside today, or maybe put it off till tomorrow, or, should I wear a mask because I'm biking to work, and the air quality is not so great where I'm living, then this would be a useful project. Then finally, what I think is kind of the jewel of these demos is the PyPortal weather station. This has some lovely art from Bruce, our designer, and it uses openweather.org.com. It's an open, it's a free weather service. You can get an API key for free, and you can query it once every 10 minutes. So you can display an icon, the weather, the temperature, in the time. So it's kind of an all-in-one weather station that you can put on your desk or attach to something else, and it will update every 10 minutes. And configurable if you guys want to add more. Of course, we don't have humidity displayed, but you can add a humidity display, or if you want to add, if it's raining, maybe it'll beep to let you know you should get your umbrella. That's a project that you can build. So a bunch of projects all came out this week. Very exciting, a lot of PyPortal projects.
Okay. And since we're still talking about open source hardware, you're wondering why Top Hat was why is Top Hat the code this week?
Yeah.
Well, I subscribe to the Espressive newsletter, and there's this little Top Hat thing that they I don't know why it's not repeating anymore. I think I gotta set it to loop. There's this little top hat icon that they had,
Yeah.
and I thought it was so cute. Yeah, I don't know.
It's not looping?
Yeah, my little guy's not looping.
Oh, no.
I want it to loop.
It was going back and forth before. There you go.
There it goes.
Hi.
So that's top hat, and there's no name for it, but this is the Espressive logo or something that happens to have a top hat. And the reason is because we have some ESP32 stuff tonight. However, speaking of open source, SparkFun, which does open source, they're moving to the Feather format. And it's because we put the Feather out as an open spec. There's lots of different formats out there, but right now Feather is the community standard. It's what more companies and more people use. There's hundreds of Feathers out there, and it's really neat to see this. So they came out with an ESP32 Feather, and we welcome it with open arms. It's so cool that more people are doing Feather. So Particle, Maxim, or some of the big companies, and then hundreds of different ones, and we have an entire awesome Feather thing that we started to keep track of all this stuff. So that is, let's see if it'll do it again. Meep.
Oh, I did it once. That one.
Meep.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it pretends
I think because I just did a one frame. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll be clever and make it
No,
very
you're like
small.
a single frame per
Yeah.
GIF, and it's like, what are you doing? Why isn't it like a 60 gigabytes?
Yeah. So anyways, some Adafruit IO news. In addition to all the tutorials and libraries we just published, we have a new video out.
It's massive. It's all about Internet of Things, Adafruit IO. It's a tour, a whirlwind tour of Adafruit IO. We also have a guide coming out soon for it.
Yep.
Check back later for the guide.
And then good news, bad news. Good news. Yay!
Oh, you know what? I was going to subscribe
What?
to AdaBox.
What?
I was going to subscribe, right?
Well,
Can I? There's
Let me
there's
check
at least.
my handy dandy. Oh no, we're actually
Wait,
we're,
but I didn't
we're
get to.
completely full for AdaBox.
I was going to do it today.
No, it's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
So I should have done it for the last 18 weeks that you've said. Don't forget
That's
to
right.
sign up.
So we ran out pretty fast. So
Yeah.
we're completely full, but the AdaBox is, if you're an AdaBox subscriber, it'll be shipping very soon by the end of the month. And I made this little notification thing.
And congratulations to the people who are going to get it.
Yeah.
And if
now,
you
there's a
didn't-
small chance if you go to adabox.com, if someone happens to cancel, it might, for a brief period of time, allow a sign up, but I think we're actually not, it's even past that.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's do some factory footage.
All right, take it away, factory.
Well, these this week, there's no sound on them.
Okay, so
really.
this is paste.
Yeah.
What are we
So
doing
we
here
can
with this
just-
paste? It's
well-
not paste. Oh, this is prototype making.
Yeah.
Oh, we're making some prototypes.
That's right.
That's always a good time. We use Osh Stencil for our prototypes. They're great, very sharp. I'm gonna clean up. Okay, okay. Looks good, and then let's check.
What do we do? Not bad.
Nice. Looking good. That's for the MCP 9600, which is a baud rate and also an I2C thermocouple sensor. And then it's like, we want lots more paste. You would use our stencil machine. This time I guess it's making a relay feather wing. And I go, look at that bead. A bead of paste. Those blades are sharp, by the way. Don't stick
Yeah.
your hand in there. I mean, like, you can't, but don't even try to.
So this is a feather wing.
Yeah,
design.
so it's squeegeeing. There's
Feather.
2 passes. And there's a vision check. There you go. So you can see it was flashing. It was doing the vision check.
Yeah. And then this is the Wi-Fi feather?
This is the Wi-Fi feather, and this is a selective solder. It is, we use the pick and place to do all the surface mount parts, and then we use the selective to solder in the headers. So we place the headers in by hand, put it in the selective, and it's, you know, it's not faster than hand soldering, but it's kind of precise, and you don't have to sit there and do it. Another thing that's nice is it's like, you know, the headers stick down, so they're nice and flat.
This is
Some
rapid prototyping.
OLED. Yeah, we're soldering in OLED displays. I think those are PIOLEDs. So that's how we do them, by hand. It's a good way of doing it, though. Whoa. He's like, my arm, it aches. Take a break.
There's some 3D printing.
Yeah, we're doing some Cricut to Lego adapter experimentation here. There you go. Look at that. Cricut, Adafruit, Lego dots.
Yeah, this is one
Here's
of
a
our
boat.
projects.
Hey, it's kind of cute. It's like, hey, I'm just swimming. Is that like Tubtronics?
Yeah.
Brilliant idea to use the buttermilk carton. Because it's like, well, can you get waterproof cardboard? Answer is milk cartons.
Okay, and then last up, as always, here's a time lapse from outside of the windows here at Adafruit.
That's nice.
Okie dokie, 3D printing.
Got 2 videos.
Yeah, we're going to do them back to back.
Viewmaster, and then we've got a wedge.
Yeah, and then we're going to get to new products.
All right, let's roll.
In this project, we're building a Viewmaster-inspired device using Adafruit's PyPortal. When you pull down on the crank, images display on the screen like a slideshow. The eyepiece makes the viewing experience feel more immersive. Images fade in and out, making a nice and smooth effect. The mechanism uses a compression spring so it can spring back when it's released. Conductive tape closes the switch when the crank is pulled. Program over USB using the built-in bootloader. Images can be stored on an SD card or the internal flash. The code uses Adafruit's libraries to make an image slideshow. With PyPortal, you can easily display bitmaps using CircuitPython. Get the parts to build this project. Links are in the description. The design is 3D printed and uses hardware to secure all the parts in the assembly. The PyPortal is mounted to the enclosure with a cover on top. An Adafruit Power Boost and LiPo battery are fitted inside to make it portable. The eyepiece is bolted on top of the frame using machine screws. Stemma connectors make it easy to wire. Be sure to check out the Learn Guide. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
Okay, 3D Hangouts every Wednesday with Noah and Pedro. You can learn how to make all that stuff and more. Okay, before we go to the new products, I'm trying to, let's do this. Come on, little guy. Yep. Yeah. Okay, I just like that.
Tell 'em how it
Okay,
is.
let's do this. Ready?
All right. No.
Okay. All right, let's do this
Okay.
thing. All right, what's first?
We've got 2 Inky Watts. So these are like wide hats from Pimoroni. They have these really great e-ink, like fats, little mini bonnet, small things, 2.13 inch. These are the 4.3 inch displays. They're more expensive, but they're huge, 400 by 300 pixels. We have them in 2 styles. You can get them black and white, a little bit less expensive because you're only having one color, and red, white, and black. So
let's have it beam in. Boop, 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 boop.
this is showing you the process just because people might be curious, what does it look like as it's changing images? It's not like a Kindle where it's like instant update. These are kind of like more passive type displays, so they take like up to 20 seconds to change the image. So that's good for you to know that though it's e-ink, and most people are used to e-paper displays that update fast, this isn't one of them. You kind of set the display and maybe you don't change it for a couple minutes. It's another thing. These displays don't like to be changed a ton. So maybe every 5 minutes or 10 minutes is probably the max you want to do it. And this is what it looks like with the red ink. So you get red, white, or black. You can't mix so it's like 3 colors because like the red and black don't mix. and then use Python code. Plus, the Raspberry Pi has these cool SMT nuts that you can bolt it onto the back of the Raspberry Pi. Maybe I'll show it really fast just to
Yeah.
show the process. So this is a Raspberry Pi 3, and it comes with bolts. You bolt it in place, and then you know, you have this display. And then, of course, because it's e-ink, if you have your Pi on a you know, a real-time clock or power supply system that disables it, you know, you can have the Pi turn off, the screen stays on. This might be good if you have, like, yeah, some sort of power cycle thing where this turns on once an hour, updates a calendar, or updates a display, and then goes back to sleep. The e-ink display will stay on even when it's off.
Okay. Next up.
We've got 2 more CharliePlex bonnets. This is the 8x16 version of our CharliePlex wing, or CharliePlex breakout, now in happy bonnet shape. They're like all assembled, ready to plug in and go. We have them in yellow and white now. We've also had them in warm white, green, and blue. Red we haven't quite gotten to yet, but we'll maybe get to that later. So you get 8x16 LEDs, 1 color each, but you can PWM them up to 8 bits. So you can see, if you saw the animation, you can see the gradients of brightness. So that's kind of cool. It's all multiplexed. And it's all over I2C. It's very easy to use, and we have a Python library for it as well. Okay, next up, we've got the Mini Moo gloves. This is a project by Helen Lay, Pomeroni, and Imogen Heap, who is a artist, musician, who uses gloves to make music. And if you've ever seen her Moo, I can't remember, it's like Imo Moo or something. It's the name of her gloves. They're kind of advanced and complicated and use Bluetooth, and they communicate with a computer. This is a simplified version for the microbit that you don't need to do any soldering. I'll show them the overhead. So you get it as felt that you then sew together. So you do need to have a little bit of sewing skills. The felt does have a guide, so you can cut it according to the guide. It has alligator clips, a speaker. Here's a microbit, which tucks into this pocket. And then over here is the battery pack. This version doesn't come with the microbit, so you'll need to get a microbit Go pack as well to match with this. But what's cool is as you move it around, it makes cool sounds. Maybe I'll do it over here. So it's kind of a neat, do you want to go to the, okay. As you move it, it makes kind of cool bleepy, like chiptune synth tone effects. And it's all written in block-based programming. So for younger people, they might just want to build this and play around and make cool sounds as you tilt and move your hands. You can be like Imogen Heap. But if you are a more advanced, older kid or student, you can look at the code and adapt it to update it. For example, this is a speaker, but the microbit has a built-in Bluetooth radio. So you could have this as you move your arm around. It sends Bluetooth signals to your tablet or your phone to control something on the screen or send MIDI commands or something. So I think this is kind of a neat project. It's a great first wearable project for kids. And again, there's no sewing, there's no soldering involved, only sewing, and the sewing is pretty simple. So I think even kids as young as like 8 can get started with this project. Or an older person who just wants to make a cool, wearable, wireless / musical, interactive glove project. It's kind of cool. So it's a little bit different than most projects because we actually have a real musician who helped design this. Okay, next up. Next up, we have the enclosure for the Pi Portal. People are probably wondering, like, I have this Pi Portal, how do I put it on my desk? It's a full acrylic enclosure. You put it together, no tools required really other than your fingernails. And one neat thing that Phil B designed into this is there's a little slot and you can put a roll of pennies. Because we're thinking like, you want to make it heavy so that it doesn't move around your desk too easily or tip over. So this gives it a nice counterweight so you can touch things and it doesn't like move around too much. And of course put bumpers on it as well. But so you can use any 50 penny or 50 penny-like coin, depending on where you live. You don't need to use it, of course. It works just fine without it. It just moves around a little bit easier because it doesn't have that weight. And then, you have access to the button, and the back is clear so you can see it. So if you're building any of our PyPortal projects and you want like a weather station on your desk, this will do the job quite nicely.
Okay. And next up, the reason for the top hat.
And that top hat's really...
Yeah. When you do a one-frame graphic, I'm learning a one-frame graphic with Wirecast.
You know what's funny? We actually have to go back to, if we can't use GIFs, what we have to do is have embedded YouTube videos. They're MP4s of GIFs. So
yeah, I'll do that.
Just imagine that the hat's moving up.
Okay, so this is the reason, because we have this ESP32.
Yes, this is actually an old project that I made. It's a basic breakout for the ESP32 called the Huzzah ESP32. We have a breakout for the AG66 and a feather, and then for the 32 we kind of went straight to the feather. But as I've been doing more ESP, SPI 32, Wi-Fi coprocessor stuff, I'm like, well, it'd be really good to have just the chip, no USB serial converter, no battery charger. This is a very small, kind of minimal ESP32 breakout. It has all the pins broken out, has a power regulator on it, the 2 buttons for GPIO 0 and reset, and an LED. You can program with an FTDI cable, and it comes pre-programmed with the ESP32 SPI coprocessor code. So if you want to use this with a CircuitPython board or Arduino code as a Wi-Fi coprocessor, it'll do that out of the box. But you can also program it with the Espressif IDF, or you can use the Arduino IDE. But this is minimal, right? You have to add your own USB serial converter chip, and then of course you don't have to leave it in, so you can make it much smaller and lower power.
Okay, and that's new products.
Yay!
Okay.
Ready? Wait, not 3D printing.
Wrong one.
New recap. You got Inky Watts, 2 400 by 300 pixel e-ink displays that plug into a Raspberry Pi computer. We have Python code for Irony come in monochrome, and then tricolor, which is black, white, and red. Great for a large e-ink display, really big. You got 2 Charlie Plex wings in yellow. You get 8-bit LED control, 8x16 LEDs, and cool white. There's got warm white. Cool white's kind of a blue white. But yeah, you get 8-bit control over each LED, and then use Python to program it for CircuitPython code. This set of gloves from Imogen Heap, Pomeroni, and Helen Lay kind of mimic Imogen's really, I'm probably not saying her name right, her really fancy gloves that she uses on stage to make her super cool projects. But this time it's in a microbit, so anyone can build this and pretend that you're a famous, cool, funky musician by making bleepy tunes by moving your hand around. It uses the onboard sensors, or you could use Bluetooth to send it to another device. It's PyPortal case, designed by Paint Your Dragon, fits together beautifully, has little feet that you can put a roll of pennies on to weigh it down, and protects your PyPortal so you can put it on your desk or maybe hang it up somewhere. And then thank you, Espressif Top Hat, for introducing the ESP32 Huzzah breakout. It's kind of like a feather, but doesn't have the USB serial converter, doesn't have the battery charger. It's a minimal version, so it's a little bit lower cost, lower power, and lower size. Comes with our ESP32 SPI code that's adapted from the Arduino Nina firmware. That's it. New.
Okay.
Check, please.
Yeah, don't forget the code is Top Hat. All the way up till 11:59 p.m. tonight. Let's do a quick top secret. Got 2 things. Do you have anything?
I
have 2 things.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, 2 things. One, this wasn't really top secret. It's that ESP32 tester.
Yeah.
So I'll show that.
But you can show the thing that I did this thing with you.
Yeah, and then we're working this up. This is a family photo of all of our puppets.
I mean, look,
so this is the top secret because it's behind the scenes. You can see all the.
It's literally behind the scenes.
Yeah. And then this was from the desk of Lady. This is how we test stuff, and we had a little bit of a preview, but I thought I'd show this because it's not really top secret, but sort of top secret. Lady, what is this?
This is a project I've been working on this evening. It's an ESP32 tester that is run on a Teensy. And the way it works is it actually programs the ESP32 directly over the UART using the built-in bootloader ROM, and the binary file is stored on an SD card. So I'm experimenting with this different way of programming and testing ESP32s without using a Raspberry Pi or computer, just having it with a Teensy 3.6. And it is slower. because I'm not compressing the firmware before I upload it. But so far, I think it's a better way of doing it because I can more easily have 2 running at a time. Whereas with the Raspberry Pi, I feel like it's really hard to have like 2 on a desk for somebody testing. So this burns 2 firmware as a test firmware and then does the test, and then there's a shipping firmware. And the shipping firmware is the ESP32 SPI code that we've been using in CircuitPython. So this is just my breadboarded version, and this is what the tester is going to look like. It's going to have pogo pins. But then you'll be able to use this as an ESP32 coprocessor for your CircuitPython board. And that's what I'm up to.
Okay, next up we saw Google's getting into edge computing, and they have this Raspberry Pi-like device. We got one right away, and we'll be doing some cool stuff making sure Blinka runs on it.
It's got the GPIO header.
Yeah.
So that's promising. It's got like USB-C. It won't fit in our cases. It's kind of totally different hardware design, you know, but very interesting.
So we're working on stuff. So back in the vault.
Google, my Google.
Okay, so let's go to questions. I got a couple lined up here.
Yeah.
Post your questions up in Discord, adafruit.it/Discord, and we will answer them. Okay, first one. This is from HD. What would be a good board setup for every so often, say 4 hours? Turn on some lighting in a dark space, take a photo, upload it to a hosted service like Azure.
Raspberry Pi is the only thing that's going to be able to do that.
Raspberry Pi will be able to do that, and there's lots of examples of it.
Yeah, taking a photo and uploading it and doing Azure, that's you need something to authenticate.
However, I'll also say there is another option. There is this weird build or thing for Android, like if you get an old Android phone, remember that one?
Yeah.
Like Snowden was talking about this.
But I don't know how it would turn on the lights. That was a little tougher.
I don't know if it would turn on the lights. Yeah, we'd have to turn on the lights. Yeah, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, Raspberry Pi will do the job better.
Okay. What PCB maker do we use? Do we have a discount code for them? Is RGB version of the Charlie. Also, happy Pi Day, everyone. We use Advanced Circuits in US.
Advanced Circuits is good. Osh Park is great.
Yeah, they don't give us any discount codes or like referrals. That'd be kind of cool if they did.
But that's how you also know that they're really good, because we're not doing it just because we get a discount.
Yeah, if we were like, hey, use this, it's like, it'd be
use
like,
code Adafruit on checkout now.
Would there be an RGB version of these one day?
Not this one, but I know that Pimoroni has like a unicorn hat that's basically NeoPixels, and it's similar.
Okay, and happy Pi Day, yes.
Happy Pi Day.
Yeah, it looks like folks are suggesting the Raspberry Pi Zero with a cheap stock Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Okay. The question we want to answer is when will the Pi portals be in stock?
We're putting in soon. We made them recently.
Sign up because we put in a bunch and then they go, and we put in a bunch.
They do. We also, if you're on Discord, we'll tell people when they get in. So sometimes you can, because sometimes the emails go out and they don't all go out at once.
Okay. Someone wants to learn how to code. My suggestions have changed over time.
Yeah.
I used to say check out processing, and then like when there wasn't CircuitPython around, I'd say, oh, like that's like a neat transition in Arduino.
Yeah.
But I think like Codecademy and like some of the online resources, pick up Python, because that'll get you going really fast, and it's meant for humans to be able to read it, and it could do a lot of things. It's a battery is included language, so you get really far really fast, and then it also translates really well to CircuitPython, which gets you electronics. So I try that. Okay.
Good suggestion.
Yeah. Next, awesome. Thanks. That's what I thought. But in case I was missing an Adafruit powered solution or something that could work with an RTC. Yep, that's fine. You can get all the Raspberry Pi stuff from us.
Pi RTCs.
Okay. Can a Adafruit Charlie Plex LED bonnet be used with your lower cost boards instead of feather boards?
I mean, yeah, you can use it with anything, but you'd have, we have a breakout that you can use. You just need the I2C, but you'll just have to figure out how to do the wiring yourself.
All right. Can I order 20 Pi portals, prepay and wait? No, we
don't do that, but that's a good thing, because we don't want to take your money and then maybe it's delayed or something. We only sell things that we have.
Yeah, I'll say this because we made a big company decision a long time ago. We don't do back orders. We just decided to get really good at having as much stuff as we can in stock. And after talking to lots of companies, some big, some small, they're like, oh, we wish we would have done it that way.
Yeah. But don't worry, we're not going to discontinue it. We're going to be making a lot of Pi portals. Yeah. We're going to have a ton more in stock. We sold out very fast, and we put a limit. We didn't let distributors. We wanted to make sure that they were available to makers. But there's more coming. We just made some this week.
All right, let's give some away. What do you want to go with this week?
I thought we would give away a mini Moo glove.
Okay.
And I'd also give away a, because if I'm a microbit, I'm going to give away a microbit Go kit as well.
Okay.
So you get 2 for it, because I think that would be a good project for
All right. What are the rules?
Rules are, if you want something before, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. First person to call the phone number that we display on the screen and answer the magical questions will be the winner, and you'll get the Mini Moo glove kit and a microbit Go kit as well. The questions that you're going to have to answer are, what's your name, where you're calling from, and a project you're working on or you want to work on. When you call this number, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to say, ahoy, ahoy.
Yeah.
Because it's talk like a pirate time. And
I'll answer one of the questions. So some folks want Desk of Lady. So one, we would like to do it too. There was a giant flood above us, and like right now, like
yeah, it destroyed our home.
We kind of live in a garbage pile.
It's
at the
awesome,
moment, and it's just the way it is. But they're gonna fix it eventually, and there's
we
like
have to move everything out.
Yeah, there's lots of there was a disaster.
Yeah.
And so
Water, man, it's great, but sometimes it's not so great.
So, anyways, call the phone number. You know, you can win this thing. If you
Yeah, call the phone number. I'm gonna say ahoy, ahoy.
Yeah.
So you know it's me. Phone is on.
Yeah.
Waiting for.
That's the phone right there. So you can tell.
There's the all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
It sees you. Call this phone. You're gonna get a mini Moo. This is cool. Look at this wearable glove.
And then you're gonna do a Go kit as well.
Yeah, because you can't use it without the microbit Go kit.
Okay. Well,
If you look up the part number, that would be sweet.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
4141.
I looked it up already.
Yeah, while we're waiting.
Yeah.
Call a number. I don't think I unplugged anything. I think it's. Seems like it's still in.
Good one.
I mean, sometimes people don't call. Yeah, this 3362.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'll put the thing up here again. I'm gonna call it soon. That just means
Call
no
it.
prizes this week.
Or no prize.
Well, you know, normally we have other networks, but Facebook was down, and a lot of other people had won.
Yeah.
So I'll put this back in the chat.
Remember, if you haven't won before, you can call up. We don't bite. Oh,
Yeah.
good. By being pushy,
Okay,
we got
ready?
some. Yep. Ready?
Yeah, ready.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Arr.
Arr.
Make sure that was the number. I don't think anybody gets it. That's just all I wanted to tell you.
Okay, well, thanks for calling. So you won. Congratulations.
I'm going to have to respectfully back out and let you give it another go so people know that's the number.
Okay.
It's the mathematics on the phone.
All right, I'm a little confused, but thanks.
No, that's right. He just tested the number first.
Okay, all right. Thanks, bye. Oh, I see. You just kind of make sure it works. Okay, I was just like, wait, what?
All right, I'm gonna give it like one more minute, and then we gotta go.
Okay, look, the phone is working. You get a microbit Go kit and a mini Moo glove. It's free. We can pay for shipping.
I'm gonna call it because we gotta go.
You gotta go. All right, well, we gotta go. Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
that just means more prizes.
More prizes maybe next week.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
No prizes. Okay. Well, Lady Ada, that is the show.
We are out. Maybe everyone went to sleep.
Also, like half the internet's down right now.
I know, which is
we use
awesome.
a voice over IP thing, so couldn't be it. Sorry. We'll
Well,
get away
it
some later.
seemed to work.
Okay. That's our show for tonight. Don't forget the code is Top Hat.
Thank
10%
you,
off the
everybody.
Native Store, all the way up to 11:59 p.m.
Including all the things that you saw today.
All things you saw, and thank you very much, everyone. Special thanks to all of our community, all the folks that are in Discord, all of our Adafruit employees and team members, all of our Adafruit remote team members. Thanks so much for making this a fantastic show and a fantastic show and tell. And we'll see everybody next week. More fun ahead and more.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Have a good night.
All right, here's your moment of Zener.